And welcome, Trophy Kids, presented by Bad News Media. It is the College Football Show Week 6 edition. We are powering through the college football season. Had ourselves a weekend, 7-0-1 last weekend. Our lone non-winner was a push in the Louisville -7 pick. Hard-fought game there. A couple fourth down conversions go Louisville way. Maybe we're talking a little different here this week and having a perfect weekend, but I'll still take 7-0-1. As for this weekend, Week 6, a lot of talk about this is the weekend to go apple picking. This is the weekend to spend some time with some significant others, go out, see the kids, have some fresh air. I don't necessarily disagree with that per se. It's definitely, you look at it on paper, not a great weekend for college football, but don't be surprised if there are some upsets. There's a lot of ranked teams traveling on the road this weekend. There's a crisp in the air. I would not be surprised if we saw some upsets this weekend. We're going to go through some games here quickly, give out some picks. Make sure you're following at Trophy Kids Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Also, the Trophy Kid for myself to make sure you get all the picks for the weekend. Going to give some out here. Might add some later. So we'll talk about it. But the first game on the board, Syracuse, UNLV. Line is at 6.5. Over, under 58.5. This is the Friday night game, and this is a good one. You have a well-balanced Syracuse offense going against a defensive-led UNLV team having themselves a season right now. This UNLV team, they hit the portal and they hit it right. Defensively, got themselves some guys. You got Woodward at linebacker has been really nice. Jalen has been fantastic at free safety. You got this Grimes kid at corner who's been pretty solid for them. So that's been a nice little surprise for UNLV. A lot of talk about the Saluka situation and them, maybe not paying him or being told a different number than what they were actually giving him. Either way, I think it's addition by subtraction here. He wasn't much of a threat from a passing standpoint. You get Williams here and you upgrade the offense because he is a threat passing. The question was going to be, was he as mobile as Saluka? And he's not as mobile, but he still offers a threat. We saw that last week. And Ricky White is absolutely loving the fact that he's in this game because the ball is flying around and he finally had himself a day. But you get the Syracuse team. They're decent at the point of attack, 42nd in defensive stuff rate right now, but it's the offense that's well balanced, bringing you a nice attack this season. Kyle McCord having himself a resurgence, finding new life, confidence that he did not have at Ohio State. Now it's a little bit easier against the type of competition he's going in against week in and week out, but he is leading the FBS in passing. 600 or 364 yards per game, 14 touchdowns, absolutely fantastic. This has got a nice balanced wide receiver room. But it's the tight end that I think is going to be the person to really key in here. Gadsden, I believe is how you pronounce the name. I'm terrible with names. We know this. I think he's going to have to have himself a big game for Syracuse to hang tough in this one, to compete in this game. I do like Syracuse on a cover here. I don't know if they're going to be able to win this game, but I do like them to be able to cover here at the 6.5. From Syracuse and LV, we move to SMU versus Louisville. Line is at 6.5, over under 56. Man, hard fought game in South Bend, Indiana for Louisville. That's a game where they went for it a lot on fourth down, just could not convert. I don't know if I love the play call, but hey, Jeff Brom knows what he's doing. He's an absolutely fantastic football coach. Just couldn't get that one out against a really tough Notre Dame team, even though they are not much of a threat passing the ball. Still a very solid football team. This is a step down, obviously, for Louisville. It's the question, though, is this a letdown spot? And I don't necessarily think so because Louisville has their season in front of them here. The ACC is still open for them. It's Miami, Clemson, and them right now in the running for this. And this is the best offense SMU has faced all season. I don't know if SMU's offensive line is going to be able to hold up at the point of attack. And I don't know if this defensive line can get much push. And if you're not getting much push on this Louisville team, you're not getting a lot of pressure here, then they can absolutely go off. So I do like Louisville -6.5. Ole Miss, South Carolina. Line is at 9.5. Over under 53. This is an Ole Miss challenger manhood type of game after last week. They got pushed around. There is an argument here that Lane Kiffin's teams might be a little bit softer at the point of attack, and that certainly showed in the Kentucky game. Kentucky, make no mistake about it, has one of the best front sevens in college football. That is a top-tier defense, top 20 in the nation, arguably top 15. Really good in the front seven. They got some guys in that front seven that will play on Sunday. But both Ole Miss's offense and defense, I thought, got pushed around by Kentucky in that one. They got challenged. And this is a South Carolina defensive line that is absolutely coming to challenge you at the point of attack. And the offensive line, I know, sustained some injuries. But this is a big game for Ole Miss. Like, this is a challenge your manhood type of game for Ole Miss against South Carolina here. The problem for South Carolina is that offense, though. There's just not a lot going for them right now. Sellers may be back in Sanders, which will be good for them. But Ole Miss has got to have a big game defensively here. This is it. This is a time to build some confidence. Offensively, this is a time for somebody else to step up. Like, where are all these weapons? They sort of disappeared with the exception of Harris. Like, where is Prescorn, the tight end? Where is Wells or Lee? Like, there are guys on this team that need to start stepping up offensively if they're going to have any shot here. Now, I didn't love their chances coming into the season. I think they're a talented team, but some of the concerns around whether or not they're tough enough at the point of attack, whether or not they can be physical enough in the trenches, sort of got answered in that Kentucky game, and it doesn't look great. They got a ways to go here if they're going to compete against the Tennessees, the Georgias, the Alabamas of the world. You step outside of the SEC, the Big Ten. You look at Ohio State, Oregon, the Michigans of the world, Clemson's. Like, there are teams here that, while yes, Ole Miss may be more talented at a lot of positions, I don't know if they're tough enough in the trenches to compete here for their bigger goals and aspirations. This will be a big game to see if they can rebound here. Missouri, Texas A&M. Missouri travels down to Texas A&M. Line is at 2.5, over under 48. Missouri is the underdog in this spot. I think the question here is, can A&M secondary hang tough? They haven't really been pushed up to this point. There's an argument to be made that Kirby Moore is holding stuff back offensively for Missouri. They haven't really shown a lot, and it's been lackluster to say the least. I mean, they're 112th in offensive explosive rate, excluding garbage time here. Last year, they were 63rd. Like, they return enough production that number to me speaks that maybe Kirby Moore's been holding some things back offensively. Maybe they haven't really unleashed what this offense can truly do. Cooks is going to have a big game. They got to block the Texas A&M front here, but if they could block them, I think there's reasonable expectations they're going to have success against that Texas A&M secondary. And then for Texas A&M's offense, I know Reed, I think he's a better fit scheme-wise. We'll see if Connor Wegman goes. If Connor Wegman goes, I love the Missouri bet even more. If Reed's going, I think he's a better fit for what Elko and this offense want to do. But I do wonder if this is one of those situations where he's a young guy, some tape's now out on him already. Missouri's able to key in on some key tendencies of his and sort of exploit those. So I am going Missouri plus 2.5. Tennessee versus Arkansas. Line is at 13.5, over under 58. What did I tell you about Arkansas, folks? The win-loss column might not look pretty, but man, are they going to be entertaining to watch. Offensively, Taylon Green, he is the key here. This is the type of offense, this power spread offense, that if Tennessee is going to suffer sort of an upset this season, this is where it could potentially happen. Now, the margin for error here is tiny, and that's why I don't want to get too far ahead of here. Like, I'm calling for an upset, but Taylon Green is the type of quarterback that Tennessee has to be careful with because he is a volatility king. He certainly has his ups and downs, can be a little careless with the football, but he's an athletic guy. I mean, his strides are like 4 yards a pop. If you don't contain him inside that pocket and make him a pure passer, this Tennessee secondary, I don't know, has really been tested yet. And he's the type of guy, he gets outside of the pocket, can utilize those legs, good on the move, throwing the football. He could test them here. Like, this is an area to be a little concerned. Like, don't play with your food here, Tennessee. In theory, Tennessee should blow the barn doors off Arkansas here. Like, they really should. But there's also a part of me that goes, oof, Taylon Green's the type of quarterback that could cause this Tennessee defense trouble if they're not careful. Now, the bigger question is, can Arkansas block Tennessee's defensive line up front? I don't know about that part because that Tennessee defensive line is getting after it this season. Arkansas secondary banged up in the back end, so Tennessee should have themselves a good showing. I kind of like the over here. We may tweet this out, but I've just got it circled to, watch this early, see what kind of rhythm Taylon Green and this Arkansas offense is in, because they may push Tennessee here if Tennessee isn't careful and tries to play with their food. Ohio State, Iowa. Line is at 18.5, over under 45.5. Woo. Does Ohio State have to show anything offensively? That's the question here because they really haven't shown much. Like, we haven't really gotten a good look into what this Chip Kelly offense is going to be this season, I don't think yet, because they haven't had to. Like, they've been able to run the most vanilla of vanilla offenses and just absolutely destroy teams. And Iowa defensively is really nice. Offensively, they've been better. Caleb Johnson, the running back's an absolute monster, just a freak up front. Like, fantastic running the ball. But the concern here is Ohio State's probably going to load the box and make them throw it. This is going to be a good question, though, of what does this Ohio State rushing defense looks like? Do they continue to be physical at the point of attack? I think the answer is yes. I love Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator. I said when they hired him, it was going to be the most significant hire of Ryan Day's career because he was going to bring the toughness and that edge that they had been missing defensively. He's absolutely brought that. They have been getting tougher on defense. This is a good test. Where are they mentally at? What are they willing? What kind of edge are they playing with right now? Because Iowa is going to try to out physical them in the trenches. And I think Iowa lost a little something with that weight and strength program. Talked about that a little bit when Greg Doyle left. Would we see it affect the trenches? I think we have a little bit here. So it's just something to watch. But I think Ohio State should be able to take care of business here. Some additional picks. I like Penn State team over 35.5. I don't think UCLA has much up front that they can do here. I think Penn State, Andy Kolnicki are going to kind of get in their bag here. They're starting to rev up. They had a big time win against Illinois last weekend. There's a lot UCLA's got to kind of get figured out. So I do like Penn State there. Pitt -2.5 against UNC. Look, Pitt's going to go as far as this offense takes them. I think the offense is about to have a big day against this UNC team. So I like them there. USC -9. I like this pick. I get that there's this argument that USC has to adjust to the Big Ten and all that kind of stuff, but they've adjusted. Like, they are physical at the point of attack. They're more bought in this year. They don't quit on anything here. I think Lincoln Riley is going to be able to dial some things up here against this Minnesota team. So I like USC here in that spot. There may be some additional, spots we give out here. It's a little bit of a lighter board this weekend. We'll see. I'm looking at this Rutgers-Nebraska game. It'll be interesting. Like, Washington should have won that game against Rutgers, but Greg Schiano, I mean, his teams just embody his sort of toughness mentality. They're a tough out. This is a game where, once again, Nebraska can't play with its food. If Rutgers going to put a hurt on here, quarterback's got to step up, make some big-time plays, great rushing offense, but we'll see what else we kind of get there. So that is what I am thinking this weekend for the college side of things. It's a little bit of a shorter board, going to get some eyeballs on some games. Next weekend, going to have a little bit of a deeper dive into some things, but just wanted to get out here, get some quick content out for you. Make sure you're following us at Trophy Kids Podcast on both TikTok and Twitter to get some additional betting picks this weekend. But that's what I've got. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Check out the NFL episode. Me and my co-host Michael go through every single game, giving out our picks, giving the ones that we're actually betting on and putting our money on. It's been a pretty good series over the years, so we're hoping to have a big weekend. We feel pretty decent about the board coming into this weekend, so hopefully you check that out. And as always, peace.